What geologic hazard is most likely to occur in the Yellowstone region on human timescales? Spoiler alert, it has nothing to do with the volcano. We'll answer that question in this August 2023 update of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe down below so that we can bring you more content like this in the future. A common misconception is that a volcanic eruption is the most likely thing to occur in the Yellowstone region on the timescale of a human life. There have been some huge eruptions. 631,000 years ago was the formation of Yellowstone caldera. That was a massive explosion. But those only happen about once or twice per million years. Slightly more common are lava flows. There have been a few dozen of those in the last million years, but the last one was 72,000 years ago, so even that isn't so common. But strong earthquakes? Those happen once or twice per century. We're standing next to the actual fault scarp that formed on August 17, 1959 in a magnitude 7.3 earthquake, the Hebgen-Lake earthquake. This is the largest earthquake still ever recorded in the Intermountain United States. At the time before that earthquake occurred, these two bits of ground were level, and they split apart during that great event. We can actually put our hand directly on the fault that ruptured. The quake struck just before midnight, caused a major landslide in the Madison River Canyon. 50 million cubic yards of rock, mud, and debris came down the south side of the canyon and went halfway up the north side. It inundated camping areas and caused over 24 deaths. It also dammed the Madison River, resulting in the formation of what is now known as Quake Lake. Drowned trees, it floated cabins off their foundations, it threatened additional flooding if the debris dam were to collapse. Now, the Army Corps of Engineers stabilized the dam and the lake level stabilized, but you can still see today the drowned trees in the margin of the lake and cabins that were dropped in a field as the lake level dropped and stabilized. The shaking also caused quite a bit of damage to roads and infrastructure, and it impacted the hydrothermal system in Yellowstone National Park. Within 24 hours, at least 289 springs erupted as geysers. 160 of those had no recorded previous eruptions. Hundreds of springs became cloudy with stirred up debris, and some new thermal areas formed as cracks allowed new pathways for heat and water. It caused Old Faithful's eruption interval to become a bit erratic, and ultimately, the average interval between Old Faithful eruptions increased by several minutes. Yellowstone sits within a part of the western U.S. that's very active tectonically. There are large faults everywhere, like the Teton Fault at the base of the Teton Range. And these are all capable of magnitude 6 to 7 earthquakes. There was even a magnitude 6 earthquake within Yellowstone National Park in 1975. These events will happen again in the future, typically at a rate of 1 or 2 per century. So strong earthquakes, these are really the most important regional scale hazard on human timescales in the Yellowstone area. It was another quiet month of earthquakes in the Yellowstone region. The University of Utah seismograph stations located just 88 events during July. The largest was a 2.2 just north of Canyon Junction on July 25th. There was also one swarm of 12 earthquakes located just to the northeast of West Yellowstone. That occurred during July 10th to the 13th, the largest at magnitude 1.5, and it was part of this band of seismicity that extends from Hebgen-Lake into the north central area of the park. So, pretty average month as far as earthquakes go. Turning now to ground deformation, this is vertical deformation for the past 2 years at the White Lake GPS station on the east side of the caldera. Each blue dot is 1 day of data. Downward trends indicate subsidence and upward indicate uplift. And the overall trend is what we've seen since 2015. And that is subsidence of a few centimeters, about an inch or so, every year. It's interrupted during the summer months by a pause in the subsidence or a little bit of uplift. And that's caused as groundwater gets recharged by snowmelt and runoff as that percolates into the ground, sort of puffs the ground up like a bit of a sponge. You can see that uplift here in 2022 and again in 2023. So seasonal uplift interrupting this overall trend of subsidence in the caldera. Finally, looking at the tallest geyser in the world, Steamboat Geyser. This is the temperature measured in the geyser's outflow channel, and all of this sort of spiky behavior is minor geyser activity that's superimposed on daily temperature variations. No major eruptions during the month of July for Steamboat, so the total number of major eruptions for the year remains at 5. Well, that does it for the August 2023 update of the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory. Please remember to like and subscribe, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to email us at yvowebteam, that's all one word, at usgs.gov. We'll see you next month, and until then, stay safe and stay healthy. Bye-bye.